More breaking news out of MLB, and teams are getting busy this offseason. Reports of Noah Syndergaard and the Los Angeles Angels have agreed to a one-year deal worth $21 million. Could have had 18 and NY with the Mets, but decided to take his talents to L.A. Look, it's been an uphill battle for Thor to stay healthy over his career. We've seen that throughout the time. Missed the last 2 seasons with injury. He had 24 of his 30 starts in the first 2 seasons, only threw 30 1/3 innings in 2017. And then, of course, in 2021, had 2 relief appearances in 2 innings thrown in the majors. It's a good sign, though, because he has a lot of upside and maybe more to offer there now with the Halos. Want to bring in our MLB Brain Trust here. David Sampson and Jim Bowden keeping busy today. And, David, I'll start with you. Thor heading to L.A. with the Angels. Your reaction?
Well, I'm absolutely shocked that he did not take the qualifying offer from the Mets. I didn't think that he was worth 18.4, but that was just a precursor to how shocked I am right now that the Angels gave him not just $21 million for a year, but also were willing to give up a second-round draft pick to get 1 year of Noah Syndergaard when you don't know what you're going to get. The 2 innings that he pitched at the end of last season were eyewash. That doesn't demonstrate health or the ability to start or give you 150-plus innings. You just simply don't know. But the Angels have a great combination of a desperate owner who's never won a World Series, a lack of pitching, and a desire to show both Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani that, hey, this time we're serious.
And I'm going to follow up on David Sampson talking about the eyewash of Syndergaard pitching a couple of times. He's absolutely right. And remember, the couple of times he did pitch, he did not throw a breaking ball at all. And that scares you a little bit. You know, the original time frame for Noah Syndergaard to come back from Tommy John was back in June. And he finally pitched in September. And when he did pitch, those couple of outings, didn't throw a breaking ball, just all fastballs. And so, you know, there's a red flag. But I talked to Perry Minasian, the general manager of the Angels, on Sunday morning. And he made one thing very clear to me. The Angels were going to get pitching any way they could, whether it be free agency, whether it be trades. And I asked him specifically if his owner, Artie Moreno, was going to give him the resources to get the job done. And he said, absolutely. And I think what really was able to get this deal done is the fact that over the weekend, the Mets hired Billy Epler as their next GM. I'm not sure it's official yet, but he's going to be the next GM. Well, that's the GM that Artie Moreno fired, if you remember. That was the GM before Perry Minasian. So I don't think that Artie Moreno wanted Syndergaard to go back to his ex-GM. I think he wanted to land him. Is this a risk? Yes. Is it a big risk? It's a $21 million risk that could go really bad. But as David Sampson just said, that's how desperate the Angels are for pitching. And the Angels want to get Anthony Rendon, Shohei Ohtani, and Mike Trout on the October stage one of these years. And they're not going to do it if they don't get pitching. This is just the beginning. If you think it's bad to lose your second pick, wait until you see them being finished this winter, because they're in on Max Scherzer. They're in on Kevin Gausman. They're in on Robbie Ray. They're trying to trade for Louis Castillo or the Reds. They've had conversations with Oakland about Frankie Montas and Chris Bassett. They've talked to the Marlins about their pitching. Guess what? The Angels offseason just getting started.
Jim, you mentioned there, we just saw some of the moves they made, not only today, but over the past couple years. When you look at Syndergaard, that 1 year, $21 million, how does it kind of set them up down the line? Because we know they want to keep Shohei Ohtani there for the long term.
Well, look, in terms of Syndergaard, you don't know what you're getting. Now, they're hoping that he heals, that the extra 6 months on opening day, that he comes back and ends up being a top of the rotation starter. And they hope, you know, the good part about a deal like this, it's just 1 year. You know, when the Yankees signed Garrett Cole, they gave him 9 years. And by the way, the Angels went on him too before losing him out to the Pinstripes. But for them, this helps their winner. If they can get like a Justin Verlander next on a 1 year deal and then save one long-term deal for a Ray or a Gausman, that would be a good blueprint for them. I think it's easier for Artie Moreno to spend the money if it's going to be short-term like Syndergaard. And I don't think this is the only guy they're getting. I'm not going to be surprised if they get 3 starters between now and maybe the beginning of December.
Well, Artie Moreno has never had a problem spending money. So he signs the best position players. Remember, he's the one who signed Pujols, and you bring in Rendon. He also has tried to sign pitching over the years. Back in 2012-13, he was still trying with C.J. Wilson because the Angels have always needed pitching. And what makes me smile about this is that Jim is right, that they're just starting. But to what end? Are they going to sign a bunch of free agents, overpay, which is what you have to do when you're on the free agent market for pitchers, and not realize that the blueprint for winning has not been signing these free agent pitchers and piling them on one after the other? You've really got to build your rotation from within. And then you've got to sprinkle it with good signings of players who can outperform their contracts. And the Angels have just struggled with that. Now, Perry's a great president of baseball operations. And the question is he making these decisions, or is Artie Moreno making these decisions? And I would tell you, having been doing it for 18 years, that big free agent signings like this, it's all about the owner. I think if Perry had his way, he would build it a little differently that has a better chance of being sustainable. But it's going to be exciting if you're an Angels fan. There's no question about that. But sometimes excitement leads to tears.
David, you talk about
and remember this one thing, and that is at the draft in June, the Angels drafted 20 consecutive pitchers in the draft. So to David's point, Perry Minasian knows he wants to build the pitching from within. They've started the process. Unfortunately, though, when you develop your own pitching, it takes 3 to 4 years after you draft the pitcher. So they went their first 20 picks on pitching, and they're hoping 3 or 4 years from now that they get the benefit of that. In the meantime, the problem they have is they only control Shohei Ohtani for 2 more years. They'd like to win during that window because I don't think Ohtani's signing long-term with the Angels if he can't get to the postseason.
When we talk about a big picture here, it's not been a quiet season at all, off season for MLB the last couple of weeks here. Rodriguez, Barrios today, and also Syndergaard. Dave, when you see this, why the flurry of all these deals when it comes to pitchers so fast?
Well, I'm not sure that we're seeing a flurry. I think what you see when the offseason starts is teams know what they need, and all teams need pitching, even the World Series champions. So every offseason, you're trying to, quote-unquote, rebuild your rotation, get depth in your bullpen. But there's this undercurrent of the collective bargaining agreement and the lockout that is sure to come on December 2nd. And once that lockout comes, there are no more signings, which means all 30 front offices will end up doing a sprint after the new year once the deal is done, which I think will happen, and once the season is going to start on time, which I think will happen. So you've got owners who are nervous. And when you're nervous, you think, am I going to get the player I want in such a short period of time? What will a sprint to spring training look like? And then an agent calls up an owner and says, you can get ahead of all of your competition. Just give my guy the 7th year. Just beat the qualifying offer on a 1-year deal. Just do something that rationally doesn't make sense, and you'll feel really good right now, and then we won't talk about it when you don't feel good later. That's what's going on. The signings you see are all going to be overpays between now and December 1st.
And look, every GM I talk to say it's business as usual, that the CBA is not affecting the way they do business. Now, because they're collectively saying this, it sounds like it's orchestrated by the clubs. But I can tell you in my many conversations, and a lot of these GMs are personal friends of mine, one thing is really clear to me. They really are operating business as usual. And I think that's what you saw with the Angels today, signing Noah Syndergaard, the 7-year extension the Blue Jays gave Jose Barrios. Teams are out there working as if the CBA is a non-issue. We'll see if that continues, but right now that's the early temperature.
That, of course, the CBA expired December 1st. We'll see how that happens the next few days, the closer we get to next month. As always, David Sampson and Jim Bowden breaking us down the breaking news. Noah Syndergaard heading to the Angels, 1 year, $21 million. Mentioned there, could have stayed with the Mets, 18.4, but that's a little bit more than, the 21 he got there, so why not? But one thing you've known about Thor, it's been the history of his health. Hasn't been up to par, but when he's healthy, one of the top pitchers in the game there. You see the ERA 2.93 between 2015 to 2018. That taking an uptick in 2019. On the other side, our Will Middlebrooks will break it down as well with Noah Syndergaard heading out west to the Angels.